We have a big project ahead of us today, with us starting the transformation of the main plaza. Now, on the face of it, this transformation is probably one of the more simpler ones that we've undertaken recently, as basically we are just terraforming and replacing the area around here with these nice stone pathways, as well as adding a few nice decorations to it. But we have a huge area to cover with this, and these paths are quite time consuming to do. So, enough explaining what we're going to do, and let's get started. One of the first things that we're going to need to do here is clear away some of the clutter of items that we don't really use too much of here anymore. Like the super smelter here was okay for the beginning parts of our colony whenever we were first establishing things, but it's no longer really used, seeing as our colony can pretty much handle everything by itself. The vine frame and jungle log with cocoa beans attached to it are still fairly used within the colony, so what I think I will do is remove them from here and maybe replace them over within the forestry area, just so that we always have access to them. The map here is a nice little nostalgia for things of the past. Wow, I think these were maybe level 2 buildings around the place. So much has already changed here since we've done this. But anyway, we really don't need this anymore, so let's just quickly strip it away. But I am going to keep all of the map pieces here and maybe find another home for these at another point, just as a little bit of nostalgia. Yes, our Heaven colony has certainly changed a lot here over the time. This is so much different to what that map used to show there. But whilst we are in this view, this is probably a good time to kind of show off the area of our main plaza here, which I envision to take up this big part within the middle here, a little bit around our town hall, and a little bit just to the top here as well. It's essentially going to end up looking like an L shape, I think. But we will see. I know these things rarely go to plan with me. The very first build that we've put down, which we have certainly used and abused over the time, the supply camp. This will be a shame to rip it all down, but there's hardly much of it remaining. Well, now that we have this area more or less cleared out for us, I think it's time to do a little bit of terraforming. The main plaza itself is mainly going to be fairly flat, just to make the placement of paths here a bit easier on me and the builders. We will have some different height elevations like we have just with the pathways in front there, but not too many around the place. So what we will need to do is start leveling up the groundwork here to specific height elevations, which for this hole that we now have here, I think we will get the grass going from this elevation that we're stood on just pretty much over to the opposite side there, which will cover up the miner's little mistake, which will be a little bit of a shame. I will see if we can do anything about that to almost keep this as a decoration for the colony of the miner's stupidity. But we have the shape tool on hand again, and what we will do is just create another large shape here to hopefully cover all of this area with dirt or grass. Something along the lines of this, just to give you an idea of what we're going for here. But of course, instead of it being a block of gold, let's just turn this to dirt instead. And that should level things out pretty nicely all the way around here. Although I am going to reduce the height of that by 1 so that it's on this elevation here actually, because whenever we do get the pathways up, They are then going to lead onto the cobblestone here, not be on the same level as it. Not sure if that makes much sense, but it will whenever we start placing down the paths here. Anyway, enough thinking. Let's get Ava to start placing down not that amount of blocks of gold, but certainly a lot of dirt here. I clearly got that schematic a bit wrong, but you know what we're going for. Before we continue on with placing down anything else here, I think what I will do very quickly is just assist Ava with clearing out this area so we can get it leveled off and then we can plan from there. And she already has some dirt blocks and is already starting to fill out this area here, so we'll just let her very quickly complete this. That didn't take her too long to complete, so that's this area now pretty much flattened out for us. Thank you very much, pal. Right, now on to placing down some paths, which I have requested the colony create us a lot more of these slab parts. A lot more here. The way I do these paths are fairly simple. I always use these creamstone brick stairs just to lead us up onto the actual cobblestone behind. And then with the slabs in hand, I just kind of cycle through them in a fashion like this, then cycle back through them. Basically, it's just as boring as that all sounds, so I won't show you too much of me placing down these paths here, but that's the general idea that you have of it. Now, when it comes to this different height elevation that we have here, this will again just be separated by the brick stairs there, and the slabs will be on this elevation, so we have 2 blocks that we then need to come up from. We will terraform the grass here, just bringing it out a little bit, and then have a nice gradual slope for the pathways here. And yep, these pathways are really straightforward, really boring at the same time. You know what I'm going to be doing with this, so I really won't show you too much more of this. Although now that I'm done with the path here, what I will show you is something to make my life a bit easier, which does involve using the scan tool. And because our path here is now fairly big and open for us, I'm just going to choose, say, this block here, and then find the end of it somewhere over here. Yeah, you know what? That'll do there. Right, so we now have a good schematic of this pathway here, which I am going to copy and then assign our builders to start creating some of these paths for me, just to save me a lot of time and hassle here basically. We will call this scan Plaza Path, and yep, there's a few different types of slabs towards it, alongside some idiots. But that is the schematic for it now done, and we now have a nice blueprint of these pathways here, which should hopefully make my life just a little bit easier going forwards. Well, it's straight back to it then, and we are going to start by removing this redundant wheat field that we have here now, which I could have sworn that I had seen a farmer out earlier on using the scarecrow here, which means that this field has been being used, which it really shouldn't have been, nor will it anymore. And we are definitely long overdue removing this obsolete house that we have here, although Joanna is inside of it. Well, that's really unfortunate, Joanna. You're about to become homeless here. Well, that's not quite true here actually, because what I plan on doing is placing down a lot more housing just around the perimeter of our main plaza here, similar to as we have with Alias and Ava's house just on either side. So we will get Joanna a brand new level 5 house at some point, just whenever we tuck these houses here somewhere just to the back. And that will be 2 new housing for this area here, with the possibility of more as we expand further out. But at least for now, we will go ahead with these ones here. And it's straight back to terraforming and placing in some more paths here for me. Well, with the help of a few builders, we have finally got down a lot more of this path here, which is looking not too bad. But if I don't take a break away from doing this, I am actually going to go insane. So, let's move on to something just as tedious and start making some walls. Also, the two houses that we have here are coming along an absolute treat. I think that one there is level 2 and that one there is level 3, so we will get them upgraded to level 4 and 5 eventually here. But as for our walls here, they are going to be nice and simple and not too many of them. We will just tidy up the ones that we already have established between the main plaza and our agricultural district, and I'm just going to continue them around here, just blocking off another entrance to the agricultural district hidden behind this guards tower here. And in the very small space that we have between the two houses and this guards tower here, we will just simply put in some nice decoration, probably just some plants, something just to keep this area looking a bit less dull. This whole part of the project is quite slow and quite tedious if I'm being honest with you, but I know the results at the end of it are certainly going to speak for themselves. There we are, that's not looking too bad there, and we have the wall now going all the way around, just behind the house and builder's hut there, just separating them from the mountainside behind. That's really not looking too bad, I must admit. I will continue our pathway just up the hill here towards that little gate that we have, which is basically just a quick entrance into our industry district for our builders. This is the miner's hut that we have here, and yeah, that's just a nice quick easy way for us to get into the industry district. Speaking of miner, we have this exposed area here which takes us down into a mine shaft that the miner buried out into the colony in a very, very early episode. I do not want to cover it up with the path here, but I also don't want to just keep it open like this. So I have another idea as to what we can do with it, which once again will involve us using our glass cutter, and this time we're just simply going to make some normal glass slabs. That way then we can cover over the entrance to it, and thank you very much for upgrading that house there, Elia, while still being able to see down into the shaft. Yep, that is just stupid enough to work there, I think. Excellent. Moving on, and I now want to turn our attentions to the wall separating the main plaza and our civic district, which is pretty much just the same story as before. This is really just to separate behind Ava's hut and up towards our town hall here, away from the mountainside to stop our idiots from trying to scale it. We are spending an eternity placing down these nice paths here. These idiots may as well actually use it. Another thing that I want to do here will also use a few walls, which I'm sure you're all very pleased to hear about. But that is to come over to Ava's house here, which is this one here. And I think we're going to do a little something special just for Ava, seeing as she was the very first citizen to this colony. Basically, we are going to make Ava her own little garden area. We have this pathway here that just leads up to her house, but what I'm thinking about doing instead is extending out a wall just around it here, and maybe we could then decorate it purely just for Ava's use. So I am just going to very carefully strip away the dark oak trapdoors here at the moment to save the cherry blossom trees, which are a real pain in the arse to get. And then we will extend out the wall here just over and around a little bit, I think. The wall is up and looking not too bad, although we do have an idiot trapped inside of here now. That's a shame. But what is also a shame actually is I now need to remove some of the path that I have already placed in here. And seeing as this is supposed to be a fancy garden for Ava, we will need to replace the pathway with some dirt here. And now that that's done, we can begin decorating it. I am thinking of relatively simple decoration for this. Maybe a swimming pool and some form of seating area, a lot of plants of course, and basically whatever else I can steal from the internet idea-wise. So give me a few moments and when we return, hopefully Ava will have a pretty spectacular back garden. That didn't really come out the way I meant it to there. And a few stolen ideas later, we have Ava's back garden finally complete. And I've got to admit, it's looking really not too bad now. Certainly a lot better than it was. A small little tabled area over here with some plants on it. A lot of plants around the entirety of it. She even has a little pool section in the middle here now, or a little river bit, seeing as just further down from it, she has a proper pool now, a proper heated pool. So yep, I am really quite happy with all of this. This has worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. So thank you very much, internet. But we still have an awful lot to do around here to get the main plaza up and running properly. An awful lot still to do. So far we have managed to cover just this very small area here. We still have a lot more to go and a lot more buildings and decorations to place in. So we will pick this up next time and continue on with the expansion of the main plaza here. But as for today's episode, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how things are already starting to turn out here.